All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Practical Dad Podcast. It is me, Joshua Fitchett, your host, and we are finally here for another episode to drop. It has been an extremely long time besides the last one, Kids Talk. But before that, oh my goodness. How long was it? 9 months or so? Forever? I would say I dropped the ball. Come on. Give me one of those. Yeah, that was the case. That was reality. Let me give you an update. I want to talk about Kids Talk here after a little bit, maybe closer to the end of this episode. But for now, let me give you an update, and then I want to seek to give some practical tips for today. The update, I was looking back at the episode that dropped called Reassessment. And in that episode, I talked about our goals and how, I'd never really realized that you could reassess a goal. I know that sounds crazy. It may sound foolish, but that's just where I was at. And this is a podcast not for perfect dads. It's a podcast for dads who want to be godly dads. And so we're imperfect. And I want to share some of those things where I've been imperfect and I've failed so that you can not do those things and learn from those mistakes and bring in people the same types of stories, but also I want to share things that are working well. And I enjoy to see the growth of my children and to see me grow as a father. And I want to bring in other people that have done that because we all have different stages of life. And so we're all in different areas of where our children are. Your children may be young. Mine are extremely young, all under 6. They may be teenagers, preteens, out of college and grown and whatever. But we can all still learn to be dads. And so anyways, I was looking at the episode on reassessing our goals and how I talked about, making space in your goals so that when someone interrupts you, etc., that you can still get your goal accomplished. So yeah, that's something that's been very helpful to me. However, there was one thing I just didn't know about. I guess I knew, but I never really considered until it actually happened. And that's what's happened. That's one of the reasons that we've prolonged an episode for so long. One of the reasons. There's many, but this is the main reason. What happened to me, let me give you an update of what was going on in my life. In the spring, I was still renovating a house. It's been a long process. I have a 3-year-old at that time, twins at 1, and a 5-year-old. I have two master level classes that I'm taking. Full-time pastor on top of a lot of other things. And I'm pretty strict with my schedule. I have time in the morning where I study the word and prepare for church and try to visit in the afternoons, and then in the evenings I spend time with my children and my family. I think it's sad that so many pastors, like their children, don't even know their dads. That's a sad reality. If you're a pastor out there, that can't be us. We have to give ourselves to our children. If we fail to do that, then we shouldn't even be in the position of pastor. That's just the reality. And so we need some schedule parameters to help us. But this isn't for, I know most of y'all probably aren't pastors, but just sharing that with you if you are. But nevertheless, we should all have parameters in our schedule for space to allow. What happened to me in my life and to many in our community was our daycare shut down. So yeah, we have a small community. Several of the teachers, several of the people in our community have children there, and it shut down. There wasn't any daycare in town. That was just the reality of what it was. And so we all the families here, we're going through, what are we going to do? How do we take care of this? So for me, I had the freedom to work from home and stay with them, and enjoyable. But that also meant I had to determine, was I going to continue the 2 seminary classes I had on top of trying to watch kids and do everything that I needed to get done? Try working on a house with a 3-year-old and 2 1.5-year-olds. It's impossible. So, stay up late, etc. Anyways, what do I do with these seminary classes? Do I continue to take them, or do I drop them even though I'm halfway through? You don't want to repeat them. You're on a schedule, Anyways, so I decided to push through. I just kept my workload and just worked through it and said, okay, this is going to be a tough season of life, but I'm going to fight through all the way up until July. In July, I'll take a vacation. And so what we do with our vacation, we go out to the mountains. It's nice and cool, away from this Texas summer heat. And we have an old school RV, like 80s version. It's real ghetto. But you know what? I'd rather have ghetto and paid for than to be stressed out over like debt, over a nice one in debt. And so we just use it. We're not even in there that long besides to sleep. But we go out there to the mountains. We hang out. We chill. There's no plans. The only plan is to go out there and chill. And so we eat when we want. We play when we want. Read when we want. No plans whatsoever. Great vacation. Great time off. But I knew that during that time, I was going to take the time to consider what went on in the spring and my goals and reassess that whole situation. But until then, it was just survival mode. Just like wake up, get the things done, go, 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 go. No time to waste. Let's get it. And so that's kind of what was going on in the spring. And I made it, y'all. I made it alive. I crawled to the finish line, arm crossing over other arm, army crawling, crying, sweating. Oh, and pains. Just what a difficult season of life. Ooh, so I was so grateful when vacation came because I had made it. I had finished my classes, received really good grades too, surprisingly. Praise the Lord. Woo. Received really good grades, continued the preaching schedule, just a lot of different stuff. Hung out with my children, got many things done on the house. But I'm saying that was one of the most difficult times of my life. It challenged me. It tested me. Great difficulty for me. And I don't know if that may be you right now listening. You might be going through that. You might go into it. And so I kind of want to share what I learned through that process, because my goal hopefully is I don't want to go through that again. And if I do, I want to have the tips and the these ideas that could help me better go through that season as a father, because stress was high. It was real easy to get stressed. A lot of other things, but what do we do with those situations, and how did I reassess my goals? And so over vacation, I spent the time thinking, okay, the last episode was about reassessing your goals, and I make space in my calendar, so that if someone interrupts me or things go differently than what I plan, which often happens, right, to all of us, that it would be okay, that I could still get my things accomplished. I also have, I think I told you all this, I have a list of things that I want to do. I try to put them in priorities, and it's like 25, 50. I mean, there's tons of things. You mow the grass, cut the limbs on the tree, paint this wall, change the oil, pay this bill, etc. You put all these on this list. And so in your schedule, when you find that gap time, that free time, that 30-minute break or whatever, you take that time to do one of those activities. Just mark it off. It's kind of like the break time is there if somebody comes and interrupts you or plans go differently, that it provides that cushion so you can still accomplish your goals. However, if no one shows up, you need to have a plan to still get things accomplished. And so you have this side sheet, this list. I just have it on my Apple Notes, and I just begin to mark it out when I get time. Sometimes it's like read a book. Sometimes it's listen to podcasts. Other times it's like watch that YouTube video that you had saved. It's just a great way to manage time better and still accomplish your goals. However, a 30-minute gap here, an hour gap here in your week is not sufficient enough for when your daycare shuts down and you've got 3 children at home that aren't potty trained. You have to make them meals at breakfast, lunch. You have to clean up after them. You have to lay them down for a nap. Woo, y'all. It was insane. It was, you remember that saying, insane in the brain. Anyways, that's how it was. Insane. So, what did I learn through that process? Over vacation, I took the time to contemplate what was going on, what am I doing, and I realized, okay, from that last episode, reassessing your goals and changing them. Many of my goals are to grow me as a father, or to grow me as a husband, or to grow me as a pastor, or to grow me as just a man of God. So, like, I have goals on there, like reading the Bible, studying the Bible, like becoming fluent in Hebrew and Greek, etc. All these other things. Learning Spanish better, like fluent in it. And I was looking at my schedule, looking at my week, looking at my goals, and realizing, like, with these things, it's just impossible. We all have 24 hours. I'm attempting to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm attempting to do these things rightly. And with the time I have left, I don't have the time to do all these goals. So I'm going to have to drop some. That is a hard pill to swallow. There was a guy, side note here. I listened to this guy preaching one time several years ago, like in 2011 or something. And he had, I don't know what type of accent it was, but I'll try my best to present that accent here. Anyways, he was talking and he said something like a difficult saying for the church. One of those preachings that steps on your toes. And everyone was quiet. And he goes, well, that went down like a rat sandwich. He said, that went down like a rat sandwich, like trying to eat a rat sandwich. That was not appealing, was it? Not appetizing, was it? So, look, I lost my train of thought about that. Yeah. I got it. Here we go. So, reassess my goal. I had to look at my goals and like looking like, dang, I got to cut some of these things out. Like, they're good goals. They're godly goals. I just don't have the time to do it. I don't do it. I don't have the time to do it. So that went down like a rat sandwich for me. And then it became easier. And for you, it may be the same way. So you look at your goals. I mean, list them all out. List everything you want to accomplish. Look at your time. Look at your week. Put the breaks in there. And you know what? Look at which goals have to go down like a rat sandwich. Like if you eat one, it's just, dang, that stinks. I can't do that. And not only that, there was the additional part of removing some of the goals. And here's where it came into play. What I learned about spending time with my children, and you learned a little bit about Kids Talk, was just, I saw more of the differences that each one of them had. I saw more of what they loved. And it inspired me really to like want to help them. And so I had to look at my goals again and say, I have all these goals, personal goals to be a good dad, etc., that would help them. But what I should do is change some of these goals to invest into them. And so that really caused me to think for quite a bit of time about what is it I needed to do about my life to do this. And so I think about it this way, y'all. What am I giving up? Well, I'm giving up personal goals that would make me a dad, et cetera, et cetera. Cool. But why are you giving it up? I'm giving it up so that I can invest into my kids so that I could grow them. Okay. So examples of this, many dads out there do sports or help their kids with karate or music or whatever it is that you're doing. And a lot of us, what we do is we live through our kids. I never got to go to basketball camp, and I'm going to send my kid to basketball camp and baseball camp and all these camps because I never got to do it. And they're just going to, that's not what your kid wants. That's not, that might be, but for the majority, it's probably not what your child actually wants. Are you listening to that child and to the goals that they want, and then engaging in their goal and making that your goal? Your goal is, I want to help them become the person that God wants them to be. And this is where they're gifted. This is where they're talented. This is where they're desiring to do. So help me invest in that and not just whatever it is that you want to do. And at the same time, like making sure you don't swing that pendulum too far. Like say they are interested in playing the drums or piano or whatever. Well, you don't make up all the goals for them and push them to a point where they're in despair and don't want to do these things and hate it. You keep a good pulse on that and with them, challenge them when they need to be challenged, help them persevere, but don't overwhelm them to the point where they just hate doing the thing that they loved. So for me, like, we don't do a lot of things. My family doesn't. I don't do a lot of camps for them. They get to do basically like one sport, because I want them to be able to spend time with us, but I want them to enjoy something that they like to do also. Right now, the boys love dirt bikes. So I went and purchased electric bikes. I had to spend money for that. I had to give up some things for that so that they could have that. But I spent it because that's what they genuinely love doing. They love riding electric bikes in the backyard. I had to get electric because we live in the city. You can't make a bunch of noise. So, I mean, not in the city we live in. But anyways, they just don't make a bunch of noise. They don't hurt the neighbors' feelings. And so they play in the backyard with dirt bikes. They want me to be there. They want me to make ramps with them and hang out with them. That's what I do. I'm learning to change my goals for them. So I could spend another hour reading a book because it's my goal to read these books. Or I can mark that off my list and say, reading books is good, but I want to invest in my child and they want to ride dirt bikes, which means my goal now is to help my child enjoy dirt bikes and learn what they can about God through riding those dirt bikes. They may change their goal in a couple of years. And part of that may be, well, you're going to have to go through this another year to make sure we get our bang for our buck, that we utilize these electric bikes, or we're going to sell these bikes to do something else, and showing them how like seasons change, etc. So yeah, here we go. So one, I guess practical tip number one, just to kind of put it in plain, simple format, is look at your goals and cut out some of them. Let it go down like a rat sandwich. And then later on realize it wasn't a rat sandwich because you didn't just give up something you loved. You gained something you loved. You gained getting to do something that your children love doing and helping them. That's the second thing, is figuring out what each child likes, because they're all different, and helping them engage in those and making that your goal. That's your new goal. So you replaced it with that one. And so let me give you just an illustration here that might help you kind of jump in on this, and inspire you maybe. I hope to inspire you here. I think your children would love it, but I'll give you this idea, or this illustration, excuse me. So in school, I have all these, medals and ribbons and plaques and stuff for winning certain events. And the thing about those things is, yeah, they were great. I worked really hard and got them, accomplished a lot. Cool. Problem is, when I die, they kind of go with me to the grave. I mean, that's just the reality of it. The glory goes down with me. It doesn't get passed on. Nobody did it but me. So they go to the grave. I think we need to change that mindset. I think we need to change our personal plaques, our personal awards, our personal trophies. You don't have to get rid of them all. Your personal things, we need those things. But I'm saying we need to exchange some of those things, and in order to have our children be kind of our trophies, our prize, our medals. And this is what I mean. Again, let me just use the book one. I could read tons of books, like an hour extra books, every day or every couple of weeks or whatever, and grow personally. But eventually I'm going to die, and that's going to go down with me, a lot of that knowledge. Or I could say, you know what? I'm just going to read a few books, not a lot, just a few. But the few that I read, I'm going to make sure infuse the truths of those that are found consistent with God's word into the life of my child with the things that they love. And so my goal now is my child. My goal now is, okay, for example, the dirt bikes. Help show them perseverance and what God means through perseverance by helping them with their dirt bikes. So watch this now. I'm learning perseverance, and I'm learning how to give perseverance and show perseverance. It's not going to just die with me and go to the grave. It's going to get passed on to my children, where they learn perseverance. And Lord willing, if he allows them to get married and have children, it'll go to my grandchildren. And so my goals, which were once just me and dying with me, now they're transforming because I'm exchanging some of my personal goals to have a different goal for my children. And so there's a legacy now rather than just personal glory and personal growth. I am learning this. This was hard for me to even think about for a little while. Not that I didn't I love my children and have goals for them, but to actually tangibly think, okay, instead of this personal goal, example, playing piano, let's just put that as a personal goal. Instead of playing piano, I'm actually going to not do that and give that up so that I can, take my kids to the library because they enjoy seeing pictures of these things and et cetera, or, whatever, buy a microscope and look at different things with them, or, take them to a football camp, but then also hang out with them during that camp, or take them camping, or whatever it is. And so I think, and balancing that, right? Let me just always put that. Making sure we're not living through our children. Let their goals be their goals and encourage them and walk with them. Make it your goal, but don't overtake it for them. And don't overwhelm them with that. And so I've been challenged with that. And so I had reassessed my goals and been doing that the year before, working through those things, changing them. But then the spring happened and now I'm like exchanging my goals, right? So my goals are being exchanged to invest into the next generation. And I've just found so much encouragement and motivation and value. I think value would be the best word. Like, man, I could die with this and grow. Oh, let me give you this example, okay? I think this will be a good example. A lot of people like the character of Steve Jobs, not his morality, any of those things. I'm talking about the story. They love the story of seeing who Steve Jobs was and how he helped Apple, like he created Apple and helped it grow to this crazy thing in the world. And I think we aspire sometimes to do that because we want to be a great hero or a leader. But here's the reality, y'all. Steve Jobs passed away and Apple has changed since Steve Jobs passed away. I think that, how could Steve Jobs, instead of like just coming up with these personal things, how could he have helped other people think like he thinks? And what if his goal was to take a couple of leaders and show them and have them be his goal, not just Apple and his glory, but have leaders be the goal so that they could continue on that same sort of thing? And again, there's nothing wrong with our personal achievements, our personal aspirations, our personal things that we can invest and lead people. There's a certain truth to that. Don't miss the forest for the trees here, right? The point is this. There's much value. There's much godliness in investing into our kids as an actual tangible goal. Deuteronomy 6, talks about teach them these things as you go along your way. In the New Testament, you hear about fathers teaching your young children. All I'm saying is let's make it tangible. Let's replace that with one of our goals and make it make a goal to invest into them so that they would grow in the future. All right. So there you go. There's your practical tips. I've said it more than once, so I don't have to repeat it here, but that's going to kind of wrap up that section. I hope it'll be helpful to you. If not, chunk it in the trash or keep it in your pocket because some other dad may need it one day. And I would say that to encourage you and challenge you a little bit of sometimes some of these episodes may not be what you are needing in the moment, but begin to think of others. Okay, well, I don't need this episode, but maybe you should listen to it because your friends may need it who are dads, or somebody else that you run into down the road may need it. And you'll be like, oh yeah, I heard this one time and it didn't really help me, but I think it will help you. So just think about that. That's helped me kind of engage in certain conferences and teachings that I'm like, it's not really helpful to me, but like, oh, wait a minute, this could help somebody else. And I need to stop just thinking of myself and my own growth. I need to think of what can I do now to help other people grow. So that all wraps up that part of this episode. Real quickly, the kids talk, guys. What was going on is I had my kids, my oldest boys, my mom, my wife went back to school. My wife is not my mom. I will clarify that we are not related. No blood, no nothing. She's white. I'm brown. So if that helps any, that's crazy. She went back to school. My kids finally went back to daycare. Have the oldest two boys with me, trying to get things accomplished. I'm like, man, I really got to do a podcast episode. So I asked them, hey, y'all want to do this? And they're like, sure, cool. And so I think I wanted to do that so that you would get to, that you would be reminded of how kids think. They just think differently than adults. But secondly, that you would see an example of like the differences among kids. My children eat the same food, go to bed about the same time, watch the same TV shows, have the same toys, have the same parents, very consistent. But they're totally opposites. They're just different. They think different, they talk different, etc. I think you saw that, I asked them, how do you feel when dad has to go away on trips? The oldest, Elijah, I miss you because I don't get to see you. The middle child, Lucas, yeah, I'm kind of happy because then I get to play with mom. Like, dude. But you saw the differences there. And let us not lose that reality that our children are different. And yes, we teach them all these same principles, but we've got to address them also in a different way, speak to them differently, give them different illustrations for how their minds work. And so I wanted to do that to encourage you and just remind you about those sorts of things. And so I hope you enjoyed that conversation with my kiddos, and hope to have another one on some other subjects. But right now we've got a couple of other things lined up in the future. And so we'll be presenting more episodes soon and more consistently, because all of my goals have changed, unless the daycare shuts down again. Then we'll see what happens, right? But hey, I am so thankful for y'all tuning into this podcast again. I seek to be humble here. I want this just to be just a however long, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour long, however long the episode is. I want it to be value added to you as a father that would help you be the father that God wants you to be as we look in the scriptures. Just practical things that would help you become a better father. Yes, we make mistakes. Let's learn off those mistakes and share with each other how not to do that. And guess what, guys? We do some things that are really great. Let's share that with each other so that we would be great fathers and we would raise up a generation of kids that love Jesus and will pass the baton on to their children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren, if the Lord allows. And so, man, I'm always looking for advice, tips, questions, thoughts, etc. And so at the end of this episode, you'll get the info on where you could send that. And so feel free to do those sorts of things. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to present these things to you. Thank you so much for supporting this podcast, listening. I hope that it's helpful to you. And so may the Lord bless you and keep you, and may you glorify him and provide good for your children. Until the next episode, we will see you next time. Well, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. As always, if there are questions or comments or ideas or thoughts, just whatever it is that you have, go ahead and email us at practicaldadpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that is practicaldadpodcast@gmail.com.